Hey, welcome to Will Cook Music Reviews. I'm Will Cook, and today I'm talking about the brand new album from the Darcys called Fear and Loneliness. This Canadian duo came into my life in the summer of 2016. I saw they were opening for AWOL Nation here in Vancouver. And then later that year they released Centerfold. It was their fourth and final album with the indie label Arts and Crafts, and it was also the first album that saw them heading in a new musical direction. They took on a much more shiny, disco pop kind of sound compared to their earlier albums, which were a bit more alternative art rock. And it was a big change in not only their sound, but in their overall aesthetic as well, as you can see in the difference between the black and white of their early albums and the bright popping pink of Centerfold. Took on a much more mainstream accessibility, and I definitely appreciated the cleaner pop sound. Some enjoyable stuff with Studio City, Arizona Highway, and Miracle. But it's this newest release here where I have found some of their best. They're no longer with Arts and Crafts. I believe this is their first album with the major label Warner Music. They even have a record label under their own name. And they're also based out of LA now, which apparently is where much of the inspiration behind this album came from. We got the song Chasing the Fall nearly 2 years ago now, and I remember finding it pretty much instantly better than anything I'd heard from them in the past. It builds off the big and bright sounds introduced on Centerfold, but with a more dark emotion to it. And if you know me, I'm all about that dark emotion in my music. Great song, and despite it being 2 years old now, it fits in wonderfully on the album. And they released a few standalone singles last year, and one that I wish would have made the album is the song Melodramatic. Talk about dark-driven emotion. This one just drives into me with its hook and really lights a fire under me. It's a shame it didn't make the cut. But the song Boys Don't Cry sure did. It was released earlier this year with the song Change, another one that didn't make the cut for the album. Not quite as hung up on that one as I am with Melodramatic, though. And as for Boys Don't Cry, it hits pretty good. It gives me a little bit of a flash of the song Miss Jackson from Outkast in the pre-chorus build. Just a flash of it, and then you get that clap boom into this brooding hook that continues to push this dark atmosphere that I can easily get behind. And then the album's third single, Look Me in the Eyes. This is a big one for me. It really picks up the pace for a real snappy lead up to this tremendous chorus. Frontman Jason Koos, I believe that's how you pronounce it, does the fun high-pitched notes in the pre-chorus, and yeah, that hook is wildly entertaining and quite powerful.
Look me in the eyes, don't act so surprised.
And then we got the more upbeat, Off the Deep, very infectious. Nice to hear a more cheerful melody to this one. It works as a nice encouragement for you to make that leap towards whatever you might be apprehensive of going for. And the final pre-album single, Too Late, it starts off with this swell of orchestral strings that's very reminiscent of Lana Del Rey's Born to Die. It then moves into a nice soft groove, and sometimes these slow, softer grooves can build to the most rewarding hooks, and this hook really pulls through. It contends with Look Me in the Eyes for my favorite song of the album. It is just such a wickedly sticky melody. The song stomps so hard, and it's such a nice mix with that tight retro guitar sound, and it's really just an amazing showing of how much these guys have grown towards perfecting the pop sound compared to their last album. So they definitely killed it on the singles game, and as for the rest of it, it holds up rather well, but they definitely chose the right ones for these singles. The opening title track sets up a somber cinematic mood with the acoustic guitar and the orchestration along with some gentle vocals. It rises a bit and then settles down to finish a very pretty album opener. Hollywood Ending is set up on 808s for the most part, and it doesn't get too much of a rise out of me, but it's got a suaveness to it that I can appreciate, and you get enough bounce to the hook to keep your foot tapping. Shangri-Lost is quite exciting. It's definitely the most out there song of the album. I haven't heard something quite like this from the Darcys before. It's very subdued for the first chunk, but the softly delivered chorus is the highlight with the operatic-like vocals that pull off this nice piercing melody. And the bridge really rips the song open for a pretty distraught performance from Jason that holds some real grit to it, a very cool song. And then there's the final stretch of the album that starts off with the instrumental Reservoir No. 4, moves at a real easy pace and kind of balances between this somewhat serene beauty and this ominous tension. Cowboy Movies moves slowly with this neo-soul feel, and it has a nice swell to the chorus that manages to hit me with a good bit of feeling. Jason's voice is especially nice to hear in these more stripped down songs. And the closer, The Glory Days, another soft one, and another really suave hook to this one as well. It sounds like a nice lovemaking song. You get that nice little guitar solo thrown in there as the song reaches towards its end. Not a bad vibe to cap off the album. Now, I'm still getting to know these guys. I never dug into their old music all that much, so this is really only my second album with them, and it's definitely hitting me a lot harder than the stuff off of their last album. Strong, western, disco pop kind of sound with 2 songs in Too Late and Look Me in the Eyes that are strong contenders for my top 100 of the year. Now, when I started this channel a few weeks ago, I said I wasn't going to rate the albums. I've been writing reviews for several years, and I just found it a bit too stressful in the past trying to put a number to the music, but I've come up with a little system here to help make it a bit easier on myself, and I'm going to implement it for the first time. So after crunching the numbers, I've settled with a solid 6.5 Disco Cowboys out of 10 for this one. Thank you for checking it out. I'd love a thumbs up if you enjoyed the review. Hit the subscribe. I've got more on the way, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to chat. I'll see you next time.